absolutely loved the first Child's Play. Hey everyone, welcome to Vlogtober day 16. Since it is October and this is a big time of year for horror movies, I thought that I would talk to you guys about some of my favorite horror movies. Now, I tend to be one that doesn't gravitate towards the slasher flicks like Friday the 13th or the Halloween series, just because to me they're just dumb. However, I will say that I do like to watch them occasionally just to get a good laugh and to kind of root for people who are acting stupid and probably acting in no manner that a normal person would act in that kind of situation. So I do like some of those type of movies, but I tend to more gravitate towards the ones with an actual plot and storyline. So, going along those lines, the first favorite horror movie of mine is Insidious. This movie just kind of came out of nowhere. Our friend Andy told us about it and we finally got to see it, and it is amazing. And of course the sequel just came out. James and I did a review for that for Vlogtober this year. I will link that below, or you can go look through the Vlogtober playlist and you'll see it. We also did a full review on Insidious as well. And I love those movies because there is a plot, there is a story, and it's, even though there are some jump scares and a little bit of comedic relief in there as well, it is a really well done movie. Now these next movies kind of go along the lines of somewhat of a slasher movie, but they definitely have a solid plot and kind of everything happening for a reason type storyline going through it, and that is the Saw series, which incidentally Insidious and Insidious 2 was written by the same person, James Wan. So I love James Wan. I think he is an amazing storyteller and an amazing director. And the Saw series, even though it did have that kind of slasher flick type gore and blood and guts and all that kind of stuff, there was that kind of underlining story and plot that really stayed solid through the entire series. And the twist at the end of each movie, perfection. My next favorite horror movie is one that one of my friends actually went and saw before me. We were supposed to go together and she went and saw it before me, but then came back and told me that she really wanted to see it again because there was a lot of stuff that she thought she had missed. And that is The Sixth Sense by M. Night Shyamalan. And oh my god, that movie blew me away. It was incredibly acted, incredibly directed, and the twists and turns in there were amazing. And I love that movie and cannot get enough of it. And I think it's one of those, and I know for me it's one of those that every time you watch it you kind of notice something different and something new, and you go, yep, there was a sign right there. Now the next movie, I know I just sat there and said I don't like slasher, blood, guts, gore type movies that don't really have a plot like Friday the 13th, Halloween, and that kind of thing. However, I absolutely loved the first Child's Play, and that's kind of what I've noticed more in the movies that I kind of like in that type of slasher genre, is that the villain is a smartass. I love Chucky. I love his wisecracks and all of that kind of stuff. The first movie was just so good and made me terrified of dolls all over again. The next two movies in that kind of similar category, and again with a villain who is a complete smartass, is Nightmare on Elm Street. And I love Nightmare on Elm Street because Robert Englund just makes the movie. Holy cow. And I love Robert Englund. Like, total crush on Robert Englund. I think he's just completely amazing and just did such an amazing job. I never did see the remake of it because I refuse to see anything, you know, any nightmare movie that Robert Englund is not playing Freddy Krueger. Another movie that's in that same series that's a favorite of mine is Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Some of you may know that after the first Nightmare movie, Wes Craven sold the rights to Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger, and the characters. So all the movies from the second movie on through the one before New Nightmare were all done by different people. Wes Craven didn't have anything to do with them. So Wes Craven got it back and made Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and I loved that movie. I loved Freddy being a little bit more sinister and a lot less slapsticky. And even though he still kept that kind of smart ass attitude. I typically don't like remakes of horror movies, especially. I don't like remakes of movies, period, generally, but horror movies especially. However, the remake of Friday the 13th was amazing. The guy on the boat who just all of a sudden ends up with an arrow in his head. Holy cow. Probably one of the best horror movie kills ever. A lot of these movies are kind of tending to be slasher flicks, even though most of them, like the Saw series, really have a plot to them. But one series that I really liked as well in the slasher type genre of horror is the Scream series. I loved the entire series. I loved the initial trilogy, and then I really liked the fourth one and how they kind of brought it all full circle. I'm sure that there are a lot more horror movies that I'm just not thinking of off the top of my head that I love, because horror is definitely the movie genre that I gravitate to the most. It's kind of weird considering my sister made me watch Poltergeist when I was 7, and I felt somewhat scarred for life at the time. Now horror is the genre that I just love. I love other genres, but if you saw my movie collection, you would see, like, you know, some rom-coms, some, you know, like Disney movies type things, and then you would see like stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of horror. So that's gonna do it for Vlogtober day 16. Let me know in the comment boxes below what your favorite horror movies are, or if you don't like horror movies at all. Please check out all of the social media sites in the description box below, as well as my other channels here on YouTube. Again, thank you guys for watching. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.